Some of these kids are so out of control that I don't even think they know. Their rage is so strong they don't know what they're doing.
Right now on News 8, chaos in a Davenport classroom, why a former security guard says kids are out of control, and how a year of beatings has changed his life forever.
And hitting refresh with positive results, the big changes for Galesburg, and how the community continues to recover from economic troubles.
Live from WQAD, News 8 at 5 starts now.
Good evening, I'm Julie Sisk, in for Denise Sinica.
And I'm Jim Mertens. Thanks for joining us tonight at 5.
We begin with Galesburg. City leaders celebrating a push for positive economic changes. Today's State of the City address centered around a fresh start for the shuttered manufacturing plant and the ripple effect it could have on a community. News 8's John David is live in Galesburg with why the city is focusing on change. Hi, John.
Hi, Julie. Galesburg is reflecting on big changes during 2016, from plans here along Main Street to the former Maytag plant. It's a city on the move. There's a fresh start for Galesburg's long vacant Maytag plant. After sitting empty for more than a decade, there's a multi-year deal to store wind turbine blades, creating a handful of jobs.
Yeah, I think it shows that we as a community are very adaptable, and we're looking for opportunities wherever we can find them.
Third grade separation was part of a $88 million project.
During the State of the City address, Mayor John Pritchard details progress, including more work on lead service water lines for 2017.
There's about 150 homes where all the cases of children with high levels of lead have been, so we're also planning to try and tackle that if we can find funding.
That helps to spark economic development. Sandberg Mall's new owners plan to demolish part of the aging structure and create a new shopping experience.
But overall, I think the project is going to inject a lot of new life into that property, and it's definitely going to change the visual look of the property.
Work continues on the city's first new subdivision in nearly 2 decades. It's part of a strategy to keep families living in Galesburg.
I know from talking to local industry that there's people that get relocated here for their work and don't end up living here because they want to find a new house. So this starts to change that game. I'm hoping other developers will move ahead with subdivisions as well.
Galesburg will gradually introduce a new gateway. This Main Street underpass project will take more than 2 years. The $17.5 million deal will help traffic and trains to coexist.
This means that people will be able to get in and out of the downtown from the east, and our emergency first responders will have better access, quicker access to parts of the community.
All of this is designed to help grow Galesburg, but as school enrollment continues to decline, the challenges remain for the future. And back here on Main Street, the city is set to welcome a new Y in coming days, while also continuing with its downtown improvements. Reporting live in Galesburg, John David, WQAD News 8.
Thank you, John. Galesburg is also welcoming new businesses to its North Seminary corridor, making it a busy year for retail improvements.
Holiday travel through Chicago's O'Hare Airport could be easier than expected. The airport's workers voted to strike as a way to push for a raise and the right to organize a union. There were fears that strike could disrupt Thanksgiving travel, but the workers say they'll walk off the job 8 days from now.
We respect families traveling to be together, and that is why we're holding off our strike until after the Thanksgiving holiday. Our strike will start on Tuesday after Thanksgiving, November 29th.
Non-unionized janitors, baggage handlers, cabin cleaners, and wheelchair attendants want a raise to $15 an hour plus union rights. O'Hare is one of the busiest airports in the country, handling 77 million passengers last year alone. Drivers won't have to break the bank to have a road trip this Thanksgiving. Gas prices dropped over the past few weeks, making it more affordable to fill up. On average, gas prices are down 6 cents. That means drivers will pay the second lowest Thanksgiving prices for gas since 2008. Here in the Quad Cities, drivers can expect prices at $2 or less. In the Illinois Quad Cities, the average price for a gallon of $2 on the button. In Iowa, that same gallon of gas will cost you $1.95. Right now, the national average is $2.13. And rain could be a factor for anyone traveling for the Thanksgiving holiday.
It really depends on what day you do that traveling, though. Chief Meteorologist James Zahara has details on the forecast. Hi, James.
Hello, guys. Yeah, that plays a big role, that is for sure. Everything's looking dry right now, but if you looked in our skies outside or even on this satellite radar loop, and we do have some clouds rolling in. More of the high, thin clouds making their way across the river. The thicker clouds, the more condensed clouds are a lot farther west, right around the Rockies. But that is the weather system that will be tracking its way eastward, and that's going to allow the clouds to thicken and lower and eventually lead to our first measurable rainfall in, get this folks, a good 3 weeks or so. So it's going to be well needed as we head into tomorrow. Currently, we're seeing temperatures drop now in the 30s. A few lower 40s are out there. In the Quad Cities right now, we have a temperature of 35 degrees after a daytime high of 44. A light gentle wind out of east at 9 miles an hour. Really don't expect that temperature to fall too much as we thicken up those clouds, but I really don't expect those temperatures to change much of all because of the rainfall coming in. We'll tell you when the first raindrops will arrive and how long it's going to last coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, thank you, James. A former Quad Cities school security guard is trying to get his life back after serious head injuries he says were caused by out-of-control kids at Smart Intermediate School in Davenport. He says it was a year of chaos in the classroom that should have been taken more seriously. He's talking exclusively with News 8's Chris Miner on his months inside Smart School.
This was Frank DeToy last year. A former policeman turned school security officer, a man who helped train mixed martial arts fighters on the side.
All the way down to the ground.
This is Frank today.
And better.
His day spent at doctor's offices, in therapy, struggling with memory, balance, and speech.
His speech is broken up. He can't find the words.
It's rough for me to even be in this setting because I have a tough time talking, but...
You're doing fine. The aftermath, he says, after suffering 2 concussions caused by junior high kids at Smart Intermediate in Davenport. Frank worked there last school year as a security guard.
Some of these kids are so out of control that I don't even think they know. Their rage is so strong they don't know what they're doing.
And these are kids. Kids, yeah, 12, 13, 14-year-old kids.
But adults aren't safe.
Adults aren't safe.
Frank and another guard were hired to monitor 30-some students classified with behavior disorders. Located on the 3rd floor, dangerous outbursts, he said, every day.
There's been lockdowns, there's fights, some of the most brutal fights, unbelievable, that I've had to get in the middle of, And
it goes from hitting, throwing things at them, getting any type of weapon, hitting them with them. The students are doing that to the staff.
In January, while trying to restrain a kid who threatened to get a weapon out of his locker, Frank was knocked unconscious. There were witnesses, but Frank remembers little.
I remember getting called. There was a student that was tearing up the computer room.
Restrained the student with his arms around him, and the student picked up his legs, kicked off the lockers, and Frank and the student went flying back, and Frank took the brunt of the hit to a brick wall.
I remember waking up at the hospital, not knowing what day it was.
Before that, Frank says kids had bitten, punched, and kicked the former cop.
This is a bite on his knuckle.
Oh, they bit him?
Yes, this was a bite mark.
Another bite?
The big bruise and the black eye. He got hit with a book, I believe, there. He got smacked in the mouth.
He says the worst students were sent to what was called a crisis room to cool down. Frank says the kids would access objects to use as weapons.
Well, they've tore the phones off the wall, hit staff people with it, the things that you turn the blinds down with that are plastic, they've taken them off, and it's just like a whip. And they've hit teachers in the face with that.
A union rep for teachers here says a new principal and new policies implemented this school year have changed things for the better, but says it was a different story last year. Were teachers afraid for their safety last year?
Yes. It seemed as if there were no consequences for students who exhibited bad behavior, that the administration, at least the building administration, was not taking threats and outbursts seriously.
If there is change for the school now for the better, it's too late for Frank.
I've been married to him for 34 years, and this is not who Frank is. This is Frank, the new Frank now.
It was a rough week.
After a second concussion at the school in March, he hasn't been able to work.
after that day, Frank wasn't okay.
Dealing with painful cluster migraines that can last minutes or days.
The headache makes my eye water, and it goes into my eye, and it feels like somebody's digging in my eye because it's the spots.
Now suing for workman's comp, he believes the school district failed him and other staff by not providing adequate resources, people, or training.
When you attack staff people like I've seen, when you bully staff, and I want to say this, staff and students, when you bully them, they need to be somewhere else.
The school district declined to be interviewed for this story, sending instead an email that said it has added staff and training at SMART this school year. Meanwhile, the district did contact Frank last month, sending this certified letter informing him that due to being off work for an alleged injury while on the job, the district was unable to hold his position and fired him. The letter states, "Thank you for your service to the students of the Davenport School District. We wish you the best."
All right, thank you, Chris, for that exclusive. Davenport police are still compiling stats on the number of assault reports that are taken at SMART over the past year and a half. Now, for more on the district's response by email, which we received, go to WQAD.com and click on the story. It is posted on our main page.
Police officers in 3 states were shot over the weekend in what some departments are calling targeted attacks. One of the officers was killed. The most recent death makes it 58 officers this year shot and killed nationwide. More than 41 officers killed by firearms in 2015. For Iowa State Trooper Dan Lessart, the number of officers shot and killed hits close to home. He says his force has had conversations about what to do if something doesn't seem right.
It just goes back to your normal training, trying to be aware of your surroundings. And, don't take anything for granted. Every situation, every incident, every traffic stop is different.
The decade's highest total deaths came in 2011, with 73 officers shot dead.
Area police are pitching in to help those in need have a better Thanksgiving. Representatives from the Moline, East Moline, and Rock Island Benevolent Associations presented a $5,000 check to Bob Vogelbaugh, also known as Mr. Thanksgiving. The money will be used to help pay for his annual feast for the community. Today's donation by police moved Vogelbaugh to tears.
Extra special this year because what's happening to the police officers. They do such wonderful things every day, just not this, but protect us and how it's turning about on them. As citizens of the United States of America, we need to be ashamed of ourselves.
This year, Hy-Vee is catering the event, and volunteers will serve the turkey with all the fixings at South Park Mall. Still ahead tonight at 5, rolling a strike to wipe out hunger.
The numbers are in after a morning of turkey bowling, how this stunt helped to add more meals to Quad City area tables.
And we'll also be rolling in our next round of wet weather. It's been a while, that's for sure. We'll tell you when it's going to arrive, how much we're going to be ending up with, too, right after the break here on News 8 at 5.